Baba, the ocean of knowledge, gives us knowledge, and we never need knowledge to understand and figure out the obvious. We need knowledge to understand and figure out that which is not so obvious. And knowledge makes us understand and experience that which is not very obvious to us. And you see that in the world, we go to school and they teach us history, they teach us geography, they teach us, about whatever is going on in the world. And we don't know the history and geography without studying it, can we? So we have to study to understand it, because although you can see it with the two eyes, very few people roam around the whole of the world, and it is not possible for anybody to see every bit of the world. So you need education for that. And then there is spiritual education, which only Baba gives us. And Baba, the Supreme Soul, comes from the soul world and educates us about the soul, the Supreme Soul, and the beginning, middle, and end of the drama, which is not very obvious to us, or even after so much effort by rishis and munis, by people who have tried to figure out spiritual truths, these facts have remained hidden from human consciousness. So when Baba comes, Baba tells us that you are a soul. And Baba says that you are that tiny bit of light, you are that living conscious energy that is operating this body. And then we think, no, the body is operating on its own. And then Baba tells us, no, but when you leave the body, that same body which was living goes dead. So what happens during death? So there is something that is operating the body, and then that ceases to be in the body, and then the body goes dead. So then we think about it and we start thinking that yes, I am the soul that is operating the body. And then Baba tells us that you take your sanskars with you. And then we say, how do we know that? And then Baba tells us that every child, every newborn has distinctive sanskars of their own. Yes, even when a child is born, even when twins are born, they are raised in the same situations, but they turn out to be different people. Why? Because every soul carries sanskars from the past also. And these things Baba tells us. And when Baba gives us the knowledge, it is not immediately understandable and imbibable. But you have to think about it, you have to ponder over it. Baba says you have to churn the knowledge. You have to really, think deeply about it, contemplate on it. And then Baba tells us that you also have to experiment with it by applying it. So, there is a part of Baba's knowledge which needs to be thought over deeply so that you understand it and imbibe it. And then Baba also gives points of knowledge which, when you experiment with, you come to the realization that this is true. And Baba says that when I give you knowledge, you experiment with it, then you start experiencing it. And one such point of knowledge that Baba gives us is that the original quality or the original sanskar of I, the soul, is purity. Now you see that Baba says that in your original stage, you don't have any trace of lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. Yes, and then we think, but how is that possible? And we can't even think about a state of being of myself and of the world where there's no lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. Can you immediately think about it? It's very difficult because we have not seen that world. And you see that when I think about these things, I always feel that when you do something for very long, then it becomes a habit. And habit is called second nature. And you cannot distinguish between a habit and what is natural after a point of time. You know, it's very difficult to distinguish between the habitual and the natural, because whatever is habitual starts feeling like it's natural. So let's take the example of eating sugar. Now you see, sugar is a processed thing, and before sugar started being processed, we must not be having sugar, right? And sugar is a product, it's a processed product, so naturally we wouldn't be having sugar. We would only be having sugar in the form of fruits and other stuff which are sweet. But now when you think about leaving sugar, then what happens is your body goes into withdrawal mode. And then you start feeling that sugar is so natural that you're feeling restless without sugar. And I heard someone say the other day, that person has not had sugar for the last 2 years. And they said that when I tasted sugar after 2 years, I did not like the taste. And it was very thought-provoking because we think that sugar is in essence tasty, right? But when somebody didn't have sugar for 2 years, then they didn't find it tasteful. And this is something that made me think a lot, that actually that's not part of our original food habit. But then we started having it, and then we get used to it, and then you start thinking that this is the most natural thing to have, and then you start missing it and craving for it. So all that was unnatural, when it becomes habitual, it feels like it is very natural, because your body and your every cell of the body is responding in the absence of it, and it is it is giving you withdrawal. Now similarly, Baba gives us this knowledge that in your original stage, lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed don't exist. And that is your original stage. And that is your original sanskar. And in that original sanskar, you, the soul, are at absolute peace. And the world is at absolute peace, and the world is an absolute state of happiness. Because no soul has lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. And then you think, but how is that possible? Everybody in the world has these 5 vices today. So then then Baba tells us that now you have to again go back to that stage of your own and create that world for yourself. Now how do we go back? Experiment. Yes, so Baba says that experiment not engaging in lust, not engaging in anger in this whole birth. Yes, and then you see that just like when you don't have sugar, you will have withdrawals. Or think about alcohol. People who take alcohol, they have withdrawals when they don't take alcohol, as if the body is meant to take alcohol. But that's not true. That's just a habit you created, and then the body becomes party to that habit, and then it starts giving you that pain, because whatever you've created as a habit, the body will start responding when you don't give it to it. But that's not natural. So Baba says similarly, lust is not natural, lust is habitual. And it's a habit of 63 births. And then anger is not natural. And then Baba says that now you have to understand that Baba has come here to tell us that our original sanskar is purity, and the state of the world originally is purity. And in that state of purity, there is peace and happiness in the world. And Baba says, you have to promise me that you will become pure and again create that pure world for everybody. Now, when you promise, what happens? Very easy. You say, okay, from today onwards, I will not engage in any act of lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. And then what happens? Then you have storms coming to you, because again, those sanskars that we have created, because what is sanskar? That's a habit. So a habit which is now ingrained in your spiritual DNA, and then you feel that you are you're getting very disturbed because of that habit. Now Baba says that however many storms come, do not give in to these storms and do not engage in acts of lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. Baba tells us that the mind will go crazy with these storms, but don't put it into action. And slowly, gradually, over this one lifetime, these storms will be won over. But that promise that you gave to Baba will hold you together in times of these storms. You know what? I have thought and I have observed that when there is a storm in the mind about lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed, then there is a point where you give permission to that storm to affect you and come into action. Maya is very polite. Maya doesn't, destroy your good karma or, make you do bad karma without your permission. So there is a point when you give in, you give up, and then you allow that storm to come into action. So Baba says, just hold on to the promise that you made to me, and don't allow those storms to shake you, and don't allow them to make you do vikarma or bad karma. And Baba says that if you keep doing that, then slowly, gradually, you will realize the sweetness of this stage of purity, peace, love, bliss that the original soul is capable of. And you see that because lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed are our habits, that is why peacelessness, unhappiness is a normal state of the mind. But once you overcome these habits, then the natural qualities of the soul, knowledge, purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, power, this is something that you will feel naturally. You will not have to do anything to feel it. Right now, you see, we have to do so much to feel worthy. We have to do so much to feel secure. We have to do so much to feel happy and peaceful. But when you win over these habits, when we cleanse ourselves of these habits, then the original fabric of the soul, which is purity, peace, love, and a sense of worthiness, security, that will emerge, and you will feel that naturally. You will not have to do anything to get it. You will feel that these are my original qualities, and whatever acts I perform, I do that seated in my original quality. But for that, you need yoga power. You need to remember that Baba is with you, and you need to remember the promise, the hand of Baba that you're holding, the promise that you've made to Baba that I will become pure. And with Baba, you have to overcome these storms and come to a place where these habits die. People say habits die hard, but you have to come to that place where these habits completely die, because you're not feeding it with, your habits are fed when you allow them to come into action. So when you don't allow them to come into action, those habits will die. And that is called the law that if you don't use it, you will lose it. So this is how you overcome these sanskars. Now Baba tells us that, and your original sanskar is purity. Being lust-free, being anger-free, that's your original sanskar. And for those who have practiced for many years, and I can say this for myself, when you practice being anger-free, lust-free for many years, then you come to a place where you understand that lust and anger are neither natural nor interesting nor attractive. They are nothing. And you also understand that you enjoy that sweetness of your state of peace and happiness, which is now your birthright that you have claimed back by following Baba's Srimad. So this is something that Baba tells us. Now, Baba tells us that, there are many belief systems in the world which mess up with this dharana of purity. When we walk on this path of purity, there are many belief systems in the world that also, because you see, when this sanskar of impurity comes in, from copper age we start becoming impure, then all the belief systems in the world are created on the basis of these impure sanskars. Yes, so you see that culture is based on sanskars. So there are two words, sanskar and sanskriti. So if everybody has a sanskar of some vice, then you will create a vicious culture where you will form traditions and belief systems which are based on that vice. So I'll tell you one thing. There was one brother and he was a full-blown alcoholic, and then he was suffering badly because of that alcoholism. And he was taking medication of regarding anxiety, and he was in lot of pain. And then he came to the center and I asked him, why don't you leave alcohol? So he said, but I can do that only after Deepavali. So I said, but what is the connection between alcohol and Deepavali? And another interesting thing, I asked him, the person who prescribed you medication for anxiety, did he not talk about you leaving alcohol? So he said, no. He said, they said that you can't fight alcoholism, please take this medicine. So that was very interesting again. So I don't know whether he showed to a real person or some quack or what, but that was what he said. And then he told me that I can only leave alcohol after Deepavali. So I said, why? What is the connection between alcohol and Deepavali? So he said, in our family, there is a tradition that we sit together as a family and have alcohol during Deepavali. And every person who visits our house, we have alcohol with them also. So I said, and who created this tradition? So he said, this is a family tradition. So I said, and from when did this start? So he said, this runs in our family. So I said, how many generations of alcoholics have you had in the family? Because this is not a tradition. This is the alcoholics creating a tradition for themselves. And Deepavali has got nothing to do with alcohol. But he said, and he told me, from the age of 13, I have been drinking in these occasions. Whenever there is an occasion, get together, then alcohol is the norm, and then we have to take it, and it is kind of obligatory, and it is disrespectful to not have it. And then I can't leave it when I can't leave it even if I have anxiety or something. So why I'm giving you this example is because when people have a certain sanskar, they tend to create a culture, and they tend to create belief systems and rituals and practices, and they give that, they also sanctify them by putting a religious stamp on it, and they will do all of that, and they will just make that vice look normal. And Baba says that, because from Dwapar Yug, from Copper Age, we started being vicious, so we created many belief systems which reinforce this culture of lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. So now just think about it. If you follow the path of being lustful, then everybody would tag you as normal. But if you follow the path of being pure, physically at least, then everybody will tag you as abnormal. And that's how culture intervenes with this truth that Baba tells us. And then you go to any sannyasi, they will tell you that okay, when you're a married couple, so the sannyasi says that I am practicing full celibacy. But then they will tell you that no, you are a married couple, so it's impossible for you to stay pure. So what you do is go and engage in lust once in a month. So that is the, yes, that is the logic that sannyasis give when you talk about celibacy as a married couple with the sannyasi. So, and then there is this whole thing about, the necessity to bear children. And and I'll tell you one thing. There was this one girl, she came some days back, she was doing the course, and she told me, I want to get married. So I said, good, you want to get married, but why? So she said, I want to have children. So I said, you want to get married to have children? So she said, yes. And I said, why do you want to have children? So she said, that's important, that's why we are born. We are born to give birth to children. So so I said, good for you if that's why you're born. So good luck. So because she was not even halfway through the course, so I couldn't tell her anymore. But this is the logic she gave me. So you see, people feed into your head that you're born to give birth to other people, and then people will give this insane logic that if you don't give birth to people, then what will happen to the world? And the thing is, this world is suffering from more people, not less people. This world is now in a state where you need to have less people, not more people. But then they will give this insane logic that, if you don't give birth to children, then what will happen to the world? So I said, the world will feel lighter and happier. so, so this is the thing. So, these kinds of things are fed into our heads. And then there is this very interesting thing, especially in Bharat, that you have to keep your lineage going. So, there's this thing about keeping so they say that whole trace of our family will perish. Yes, if we don't give birth. And now giving birth means obviously it's the lustful way. So then this also becomes a problem, that the lineage will perish and then there'll be no trace of our family. Now you ask that person, how many generations' names do they remember? So they don't even remember the name of the father of the grandfather, but they want to keep the lineage going. So they don't know where the lineage started, who was the first person, but they want to just keep it going. And this is just one of the insane logics that they give. And then Baba tells us that Baba in the Murli today says very strongly that now no trace of the old world is going to remain. No person, no practice, nothing of the old world will remain. So no lineage is going to survive. So Baba says this is the time to become pure and create this sanskar of purity and a pure world. So don't go into these faulty logics that others are giving you. And Baba says just stick to this practice of being pure, and even when you have the deepest intention, it's still a struggle, because it's not easy. It's not just those belief systems out there, but it's your own sanskar that will cause a lot of trouble. So for that also you need a lot of yoga power, conviction. You need to have a lot of faith in the fact that you are a pure soul. And then Baba says about anger also. You see, if you look at the world today, anger has become something which we can't even think living without. Yes, some people act angrily, some people react angrily. And those who react, think that we are a victim, and because of being a victim, I have to react, right? So it's not my choice to be angry, but I have not chosen to be angry, but this person or this situation is forcing me to be angry. But you are equally in the habit of being angry. So don't think that it's the situation or somebody who is forcing you to be angry. It's your habit of anger that is forcing you to be angry. And Baba says that we have this strong habit of anger, each one of us. And we justify it in many, many, many ways. Just observe how many logics you give to your mind that your anger is justified. So, sometimes you say, I got angry because I wanted to save that person, and I couldn't see that person spoiling their life in front of my eyes, so I had to get very angry. Or you would say, I was saving by being angry, I was protecting by being angry, I was just putting my foot down and being angry so that this person doesn't exploit me further. So there are so many things that you say in order to justify your anger. But actually, anger is just a habit. And you see, the thing is, we are very good lawyers, and we justify everything in our head and come to this place where we feed our ego and say, okay, I did something negative, but I was right in doing it. Okay, so because I was right, so negative is okay. So because you cannot live your life by thinking that I did this negative act. So whenever you do a negative act, you have to justify it in your head. That, okay, it was negative, but it was very needed, necessary. It was right for me to do that. The situation demanded it, the person demanded it, and then I had to do it for the general good of mankind. But the thing is, it's just a habit that you're not able to overcome. And Baba says, promise Baba that under no circumstances will you become an instrument to spread anger in the world. So never speak words or never engage in behavior that have that vibration of anger. And Baba says now that you have to establish peace in the world. So at least the first two big vices, lust and anger, you have to win over it. And when Baba talks about purity, it is not just about lust and anger. It's about all the 5 vices. Why? Because you see, all the vices are connected with each other. Now you see, Baba says that body consciousness is the root of all vices. Now how is body consciousness the root? The first stage of body consciousness is this awareness of I am a man, I am a woman. Yes, are you a man or a woman? You are a soul. You are genderless. Do you understand? But you come into this awareness of the gender that I am a man, I am a woman. And we have taken it so far that we say men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We've come from different planets and we are all very different from each other. But Baba says, no, it's just you are a soul, that one is a soul. You've just taken different costumes because your roles are different. You have to play a part. So according to your part, you've been given a costume. So Baba says that when you become gender conscious, you become lustful. Yes, when you become status conscious, you become egoistic. When you become success failure conscious, then you start feeling like, low or bitter about yourself or somebody else. So it's all about body consciousness. And until that body consciousness is treated, you cannot overcome any vice. So all the vices are interconnected. So Baba says this is why you have to consider yourself to be a soul, practice that I am a soul and my sanskar is purity, peace, love, joy, bliss, power, and sit in that experience and draw power from Baba, feel the love and light from Baba, and the more you do that, the more you will rise above body consciousness, and then you will be able to battle these storms of lust and anger and come to that place where you experience the sweetness of being you. Okay, Om Shanti.